Hello everyone, I'm Paul McGuire Grimes. Ridley Scott is one of the great directors of our time, from Alien and Blade Runner to Thelma and Louise and The Martian. It's a thrill that he continues to make big epic films like Napoleon at this stage of his career. It's now in theaters and will be streaming on Apple TV Plus soon, and I want to talk about it. This is Paul's trip to the movies. Napoleon is a sprawling story, but Ridley Scott picks us up a few years into the French Revolution, which was this time of political upheaval. Joaquin teams with Ridley Scott after Gladiator and stars as Napoleon Bonaparte, who stands in the middle of a crowd watching Marie Antoinette's execution by way of the guillotine. There's a surge within him to gain power. After a successful battle with the siege of Toulon, he is promoted general and his climb to greater heights continues. His presence on the battlefield isn't the only reason why he's making headlines. It's love at first sight for when he meets his eventual wife, Josephine, who's played by the compelling Vanessa Kirby. Rumors start to circulate that she's having an affair, which enraged Napoleon, on top of the fact that they're unsuccessful at having a child. He wants nothing more than to take charge throughout Europe and to have an heir. The film also stars Tahar Rahim as Paul Barras and Rupert Everett as the Duke of Wellington. Ridley Scott is working off a screenplay by David Scarpa, who he previously worked with on All the Money in the World. Now, if you go into this film with little or no knowledge of the French Revolution or Napoleon's life, Scarpa uses quite a bit of text on screen to really set the scene as exposition. There are a lot of political figures and battles to take in that it may feel overwhelming. Napoleon breaks my cardinal rule of biopics in that it covers too much ground and too much story for one film. It runs 2.5 hours, or the supposed 4-hour cut that could be released someday. It's trying to tackle too many touch points in Napoleon's life, from his personal life with Josephine to covering every battle that he fought. You just feel this race to get from one scene and one battle to the next. I lost track of how many different date stamps we see on screen. It was a little hard to emotionally invest or have the story really sink in with this kind of general wash over his life. A Napoleon movie could have just been the Battle of Waterloo or his love story or something a bit more specific. Now, I may contradict myself here when I say this, but Ridley Scott and David Scarpa may be doing this intentionally to showcase the magnitude of Napoleon's reign, his character, and the death toll that mounts for what he sets out to accomplish. He claims to be this patriot, someone who loved France, and yet, as the text card at the end of the film states, over 3 million French people died in battle for him. The battle sequences are well shot, they're blunt, they're bloody, they're brutal. Ridley Scott wants them to look accurate and honest. But Napoleon was this childish man, immature, temperamental, who didn't listen to any advisors around him. It seems like Ridley Scott may be using this film as an allegory for Donald Trump's reign as president, and that reminder that history does repeat itself if we don't learn from it. It's just this willful ignorance of history that we just see repeated today, time and time again. Joaquin does an admirable job at making Napoleon a diminutive man, not necessarily in physical height, but how he carries himself, to how he treats others, how he mumbles to some and then just explodes at others. He understands why people are given this Napoleon complex and then plays into that. Ridley Scott plays up the buffoonery at hand, really allowing the audience to laugh at the ridiculous nature of this character's more idiotic moments. It's a portrait of a man who thinks that winning battle after battle and having a son makes him this great man. Again, Scott makes no apologies for Napoleon and never treats him as this hero for France. Napoleon succeeds at presenting the insecurities of this man's life for an audience who may be unaware of French history. I just wish it was narrower in scope. I'm giving Napoleon 3 out of 5 ticket stubs. If you like my review today, click subscribe on my YouTube channel. I have some other movie reviews, some celebrity interviews, And I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a comment on social media or here on YouTube. Have you seen Napoleon? What do you think of this movie? And do you have a favorite Ridley Scott movie? Leave me a comment on social media at Paul's Movie Trip. Paul's Trip to the Movies is brought to you by Imagine Theaters. There's some really great movies in theaters right now, like Napoleon or Anyone But You, The Color Purple, Wonka, The Iron Claw. Follow them on social media at ImagineMN. Tickets are also on sale for my movie series, Paul McGuire Grimes Presents. You can find it on their website, on their app. Coming up January 28th is All the President's Men. February is Doctor Strangelove, and in March, it's Good Will Hunting. Tickets are now on sale. I do a discussion after every screening, so get tickets today, and let's talk about what makes these films so timeless. Thank you so much for watching my review of Napoleon. This is Paul's Trip to the Movies.